The distress signal drifted through space for 3 whole days. No one answered it. The Vaxuri, bug-like aliens who lived in a mining colony far from other worlds, had sent out a cry for help when their planet began to shake and break apart. Many space-traveling races heard this call, but all of them stayed silent. Commander Hannah Kim was different. When the message reached her ship, the Earth Alliance vessel Dauntless, she hit her control panel hard with her fist. "How long has this message been out there?" she asked, her dark eyes flashing with anger. 3 days, Commander, said Jun, who worked at the communication station. None of the Galactic Union ships have answered. Hannah stood up straight, her mind already made up. Get the ship ready to leave right away. Tell the medical team to prepare for many hurt people. Across the galaxy, humans had earned a name for themselves. Other races called them the Angry Ones, but this wasn't quite right. Humans weren't just angry. They were driven by deep feelings that pushed them to act when others would wait and watch. Set course for the Vaxuri colony, Hannah ordered. Maximum speed. Her pilot, Dai, looked up with worry in his eyes. Commander, the Galactic Union has rules about. I know the rules, Hannah cut him off. And I know what's right. Those people need help now, not after some committee makes a decision. As the Dauntless prepared to jump to faster-than-light travel, messages flooded in from Galactic Union officials. They spoke of proper channels, and authorized response teams, and diplomatic consequences. Hannah told Jun to ignore them all. The ship's engines hummed louder as power built up. Hannah looked at her crew, all humans who had joined Earth's space fleet for different reasons, but who shared the same core values. They believed in helping those in need, no matter what. The Union calls us angry, Hannah said to her first officer, Minho, as they watched the stars blur outside the view screen. Maybe we are, but I'd rather be angry than cold. Minho nodded. They don't understand us. To them, emotions cloud judgment. To us, they clear the path. The Dauntless shot through space, racing against time. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Yuna prepared beds and gathered supplies. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Tai checked systems and pushed the engines beyond their normal limits. In the armory, Security Chief Q readied equipment that might help with rescue operations. None of them questioned their mission. None of them wondered if they should wait for permission. A call had gone out, and they would answer it. Hannah sat in her command chair, thinking about the Vaxuri. She had never met one, but she had seen pictures. Tall insect-like beings with 4 arms and shimmering exoskeletons. They were peaceful miners who kept to themselves, which was probably why the Union wasn't rushing to help them. We'll be there in 6 hours, Day reported from the pilot's seat. I've pushed the engines as far as they'll go. Good, said Hannah. Jun, try to contact the colony again. Jun worked at his station, sending messages on all frequencies. For a long time, there was no answer. Then, faintly, a voice broke through the static. This, Colony Administrative. Vaxuri. Anyone there? Please. Jun boosted the signal, and the voice became clearer. This is Administrator Click. Our situation is critical. Ground breaking apart. Toxic gas. Many injured. Hannah leaned forward. Administrator Click. This is Commander Hannah Kim of the Earth Alliance vessel Dauntless. We've received your distress call and are on our way. We'll reach you in 6 hours. There was a long pause then. Humans? You are humans coming to help. Yes, Hannah confirmed. We're coming with medical teams and evacuation capabilities. Another pause. The Union said they would discuss our situation at next council meeting, 10 days from now. Hannah's jaw tightened. We're not waiting 10 days. Hold on as best you can. We're coming. As the communication ended, the bridge fell silent. 10 days. The Union was going to wait 10 days while people died. Push the engines harder, Hannah told Da. I want to be there in 5 hours. Commander, Minho said quietly. If we push any harder, We risk damaging the ship. Hannah looked at him. And if we don't, we risk losing lives we could have saved. Do it. The Dauntless surged forward, its engines glowing hot, as it raced to answer a call that everyone else had ignored. On the bridge, Hannah Kim watched the stars streak by, her determination unwavering. Let the Union call humans angry. Let them write formal complaints and issue warnings. None of that mattered. What mattered was that somewhere in the darkness of space, people needed help, and the angry humans were on their way. The Dauntless broke out of light speed above a small blue-green planet. What the crew saw made them all fall silent. Great cracks ran across the surface like broken glass. Dark smoke rose from these cracks, turning the sky a sickly yellow. "Get me a scan of the colony," Hannah ordered, her voice tight. Science Officer Jin worked quickly at his station, his fingers flying over the controls. "It's bad, Commander," he said after a moment. "The ground is breaking apart underneath the colony. And the air." He paused, checking his readings again. "The air is filling with toxic gas from deep inside the planet. Radiation levels are rising fast." Hannah studied the main screen, where they could see the Vaxuri colony. It was a collection of dome-shaped buildings connected by tubes. Many of the domes had collapsed. Through gaps in the clouds, they could see tiny figures moving in panic. "What were they mining here?" Minho asked. Jin shook his head. "Some kind of rare crystal. But something has gone wrong. The mining must have disturbed something deep underground." Hannah didn't waste time wondering what had caused the disaster. All that mattered now was saving lives. "Prepare all shuttles for immediate launch," she ordered. "Everyone must wear full environmental suits. The air down there is poison." Within minutes, the Dauntless's 4 shuttles were loaded with rescue teams. Dr. Yuna directed medical staff. Security Chief Q equipped teams with cutting tools to free trapped Vaxuri. Hannah joined the first shuttle, standing by the door as it descended through the yellow clouds. Through her helmet visor, she watched the broken colony grow larger. "Remember," she told her team, "the Vaxuri have never met humans before. They might be scared of us." The shuttle landed in what had once been a central plaza. Now it was a cracked field with gaps that showed the glowing core of the planet far below. The air shimmered with heat and poison gas. As the human rescue team stepped out, a group of Vaxuri watched from a distance. They were tall, with 4 arms and bodies covered in hard, shiny shells. Their large eyes moved independently, and their mouthparts clicked rapidly. When the humans approached, the Vaxuri backed away in fear. "They're scared of us," said Lieutenant Su, one of the younger officers. "They don't understand we're here to help." Su made a decision. Despite the warnings about the toxic air, she reached up and unsealed her helmet. She lifted it off for just a moment, showing her face to the frightened aliens. "We heard your call," she said simply. "We're here to help." The Vaxuri stared at this strange creature with soft skin and hair. One stepped forward cautiously. This one wore decorative bands on its upper arms, marking it as a leader. "You are not from the Great Council?" the leader asked, its voice making odd clicking sounds between words. Hannah stepped forward. "No, we're humans, from Earth Alliance. We received your distress signal and came to help." The Vaxuri leader's mouthparts moved rapidly. The Great Council said they would send help after proper assessment and vote. 10 days from now. Hannah felt anger rise in her chest, but kept her voice calm. "We don't work that way. When someone calls for help, we come right away." The ground shook beneath them, and a new crack opened nearby. Several Vaxuri cried out as one of their group nearly fell into the gap. Q moved with surprising speed, catching the alien with strong arms and pulling it back to safety. The leader's large eyes blinked. "You truly came to help." "Yes," Hannah said. "And we need to move quickly. This whole colony is becoming unstable." She extended her hand, a human gesture of friendship the Vaxuri wouldn't understand. But after a moment, the leader reached out one of its 4 hands and touched Hannah's glove. I am Administrator Click. We accept your help. With that simple exchange, the rescue began in earnest. Shuttle pilots made dangerous landings near collapsed buildings. Medical teams treated injured Vaxuri, learning on the fly about their unusual biology. Jin discovered that Vaxuridon were kept in special nursery domes, many of which were now damaged. He led a team to evacuate the younglings, who looked like small versions of the adults with softer shells. Their shells are still forming, Dr. Yuna explained as they loaded injured Vaxuri onto stretchers. The toxic gas is eating away at them. We need to get the young ones out first. A violent tremor shook the ground. A building collapsed nearby, and screams rang out. That was the science archive. Click said. There are researchers trapped inside. Q and his security team ran toward the fallen structure. The entrance was blocked by debris, but they didn't hesitate. Using cutting tools, they began to clear a path. Hana helped guide frightened Vaxuri to the shuttles. Many were injured, their exoskeletons cracked or burned by the toxic gas. Some carried only a few possessions in their many hands. The Great Council always told us humans were dangerous, and elderly Vaxuri told Hana as she helped it onto a shuttle. They said you were ruled by emotions, that you were unpredictable. The old alien's eyes fixed on Hana. They did not tell us that when all others would only talk, you would act. Another tremor, stronger than before, rocked the colony. Jin's voice came through Hana's helmet comm. Commander, the planet's core is becoming more unstable. We don't have much time. Hana looked around at the chaos, at her crew working tirelessly to save a species they had never met before, at the grateful eyes of the Vaxuri who had thought they would die here. We'll get everyone out, she promised, both to herself and to the frightened aliens around her. That's what humans do. The sky above the dying planet turned an angry purple. Lightning flashed in massive bolts, striking the ground and making new cracks. With each passing hour, the tremors grew stronger. What had started as small shakes now felt like huge punches from below. Hana stood at the edge of the main colony dome, watching as her crew guided Vaxuri into shuttles. They had been working for 3 hours straight. Almost a third of the colony's population was now safe on the Dauntless, but thousands remained. Her comm unit buzzed. Commander, you need to come to the mining facility, said Chief Engineer Ta. His voice sounded tense. Hana made her way through the chaos to the large dome at the colony's edge. Inside, Tai and several engineers were studying Vaxuri mining equipment. The machines were still pulling strange glowing crystals from deep holes in the ground. We have a serious problem, Ta said when he saw her. He pointed to readings on his scanner. These crystals aren't just rare minerals. They're quantum unstable. Explain, Hana said, though from Ta's face, she already knew it was bad. The Vaxuri have been mining these crystals for years without problems, but their latest dig went too deep. Ta showed her a map of the mining operation. They hit a huge pocket of unstable material. It's reacting with the planet's core. How bad? Hana asked. Ta looked her straight in the eyes. In about 6 hours, this won't just be a planet breaking apart. It will be a reality cascade. A tear in space-time itself. The ground shook again, harder this time. Equipment fell from tables. A crack appeared in the dome above them. We need to speed up evacuation, Hana said, her mind racing. We'll leave all non-essential equipment. Every shuttle will carry maximum people, no cargo. She activated her comm unit. All Dauntless crew. This is Commander Kim. Drop whatever you're doing that isn't directly saving lives. This planet has less than 6 hours before total collapse. I want everyone planetside to help with evacuation. Back at the main gathering area, Hana found Dr. Yuna treating injured Vaxuri. How many more need medical care? Hana asked. Hundreds, Yuna said, not looking up from the young Vaxuri she was treating. Their exoskeletons protect them somewhat, but the toxic gas gets through any cracks. And the children, she stopped, focusing on her work. We'll get them all out, Hannah promised. Administrator Click approached, looking worn down. 2 of his 4 arms were now in makeshift slings. "Commander, your people work with incredible speed," Click said. "But many Vaxuri are still trapped in the outer domes. The tunnels have collapsed." Hannah nodded. "We're sending teams there now." She looked at her watch. 5 hours and 20 minutes until complete planetary failure. Click's mouthparts clicked rapidly. "Failure? You mean destruction?" "Worse," Hannah said simply. She saw no reason to hide the truth. "Your mining operation hit something dangerous. This planet will tear a hole in space itself." To her surprise, Click didn't panic. "Then we must work faster." Across the colony, human rescue teams faced impossible choices. In the science dome, Jin and his team found thousands of data crystals containing Vaxuri history and knowledge. "We can't take them all," Jin told the Vaxuri scientists. "People come first." An old Vaxuri scientist with a cracked shell stepped forward. "This is our history, our science, our art, everything we have learned over 10,000 years. Jin looked at the crystals, then at his watch. "We can take one case. Choose what matters most." In the nursery domes, Sue led a team carrying Vaxuri young ones. The smallest couldn't walk yet. Their soft shells made them especially vulnerable to the toxic air. "How many more?" Sue asked a Vaxuri caretaker. 42 in the last chamber," the caretaker answered. "But the tunnel has collapsed." Sue looked at her team. Without a word, they all began clearing rubble with their hands when their tools proved too slow. At the power core, Tai realized that if it shut down completely, the life support in all domes would fail before evacuation was complete. "We need volunteers to stay and keep it running manually," he told Hannah. "It's risky. They'll need to leave on the final shuttle." Hannah didn't like it, but she agreed. 5 engineers volunteered immediately. "You'll have a strict extraction timeline," she told them. "I want you on that last shuttle." "That's an order." 4 hours remained, then 3. The skies darkened further as the storm grew. Lightning now struck continuously. New fissures opened every few minutes. The air became so toxic that some Vaxuri collapsed while waiting for shuttles. Through it all, the humans worked without stopping. They carried injured Vaxuri, cleared fallen structures, rigged emergency power systems, and packed shuttles beyond safe capacity. An elderly Vaxuri watched as Q carried 3 young ones at once, running through falling debris to reach a shuttle. "Your kind moves with such purpose," the elder said to Hannah as she helped it board. "The council calls you the angry ones, but I see now it is not anger that drives you." Hannah paused, thinking of the council that had left these people to die while they discussed protocols. "Maybe sometimes it is anger," she replied, gently lifting a Vaxuri child with a broken leg into the shuttle. "But anger can be useful when it's directed at the right things, like preventable suffering." The elder's eyes studied her. "Then perhaps the universe needs more such anger." As the shuttle door closed, Hannah turned back to the chaos. 2 hours remained, and thousands of lives still hung in the balance. "Keep moving," she shouted to her crew. "We're not leaving anyone behind." The Dauntless hung in space above the dying planet. Its decks were packed with Vaxuri refugees. Some stood by viewports, watching their home fall apart. The ship's crew had worked non-stop for 5 hours, flying shuttle after shuttle between the surface and the ship. Hannah sat in her command chair, monitoring the evacuation. Her uniform was dirty and torn. She hadn't slept in over 20 hours. "Status report," she demanded. Minho checked his tablet. "We've evacuated 16,800 Vaxuri. The last shuttle is loading now with the final 200. Hannah nodded, relief washing over her tired face. They were going to make it. They were actually going to save everyone. On the planet below, Lieutenant Commander Sung led the final team of engineers. They had stayed behind to keep the shield generators working. These shields were the only thing protecting the last evacuation zone from the storms and toxic gas. Final group of Vaxiri is boarding now. Sung reported through his comm. The connection crackled with static. We're shutting down the generators and heading to the shuttle. Sung watched as his team powered down the massive machines. The protective bubble that had covered this part of the colony flickered and died. Immediately, the air grew darker as toxic clouds rushed in. Move, Sung ordered. We have minutes at most. The 6 engineers ran across the colony's main plaza toward the landing pad where their shuttle waited. The last of the Vaxuri were climbing aboard, helped by human crew members in environmental suits. Through his helmet, Sung could see strange, shimmering tears appearing in the air around them. These were quantum fluctuations, the first visible signs that reality itself was becoming unstable. Quantum cascade is accelerating, reported Jin from the Dauntless. The planet has less than 15 minutes. Sung and his team reached the shuttle. That's everyone accounted for, he reported to Hana. We're coming up. On the Dauntless, Hana allowed herself a small smile. They had done the impossible. They had evacuated an entire colony in 5 hours. Her relief was short-lived. A violent tremor shook the planet below. On the main screen, she watched in horror as the landing platform, where the shuttle sat, began to crack and collapse. Sung. Status, she shouted into her comm. There was a moment of terrible silence. Then Sung's voice came through, calm despite everything. Platform collapse. 3 of my team are cut off. Wong, Park, and Ba are on the wrong side of a new fissure. Hana's heart sank. Can they jump it? Climb across? Negative, came the reply. It's at least 30 meters across now and growing wider. From the other side of the fissure, Engineer Wong's voice joined the channel. Sir, you need to launch now. The fluctuations are intensifying. If that shuttle doesn't leave in the next 7 minutes, it won't make it out of the gravity well. Hana looked at the sensor readings. Wong was right. The planet was breaking apart faster than they had predicted. Sung, get that shuttle airborne, she ordered, her voice tight. That's a direct order. There was a pause. Then Sung replied, with respect. Commander, when we heard that distress call, we all made the same choice. We're not leaving anyone behind. Sung, Hana began. We have equipment, Sung cut her off. We're going to get them. On the surface, Sung and the 2 engineers with him unloaded emergency excavation gear from the shuttle. They attacked the edges of the fissure, using plasma cutters to carve steps into the rock. What are they doing? Administrator Click asked, watching the main screen beside Hana. Being human, she replied simply. The quantum fluctuations grew worse. Chunks of the planet now disappeared into nothingness as reality itself broke down. The sky was a swirling mix of colors that had no names. Lightning struck continuously around the shuttle. Sung, you have 11 minutes before total planetary collapse, Hana said, watching the countdown on her screen. Get that shuttle airborne now. Almost there, came his strained reply. Using ropes made from emergency supplies, Sung's team created a makeshift bridge across part of the fissure. Engineer Park was the first to attempt the crossing. The narrow bridge swayed over the chasm, which now glowed with the light of the planet's core. Park made it across. Then Ba. Wong was last, the heaviest of the 3. The bridge creaked under his weight. Come on, Sung whispered, holding the end of the rope with all his strength. Come on. Wong was halfway across when the bridge gave way. He fell, but just as he did, Park and Ba grabbed the rope from their side. Wong dangled over the abyss, spinning slowly. Pull, Sung shouted, and all 4 engineers heaved on the rope. On the Dauntless, no one spoke. Everyone watched the screen, holding their breath. With a final mighty effort, they pulled Wong to safety. The team ran for the shuttle, supporting each other as the ground shook beneath them. 3 minutes, Jin warned, his voice tight. The shuttle's engines fired up. It rose shakily from the crumbling platform, hovering for a moment before shooting upward through the storm. They're away, Minho reported, his voice breaking with relief. Through the viewports, The crew and refugees watched as the planet below reached its final moments. The surface broke apart completely. Then, in a flash of impossible light, it collapsed inward before exploding outward in a wave of quantum energy. The shuttle barely cleared the blast radius, its engines straining at maximum power. It limped toward the Dauntless, scorched and damaged but intact. When Sung and his team finally walked onto the bridge, dirty and exhausted, Hannah didn't know whether to hug them or put them on report for disobeying orders. "Never do that again," she said finally. Sung looked at her steadily. "We don't leave people behind," he said simply. "That's who we are." Beside them, Administrator Click's mandibles clicked in what the humans had come to recognize as a Vaxiri expression of deep emotion. "Now I understand," Click said softly, "why they call you the Angry Ones." 1 week after the rescue, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices. The huge round room was filled with beings from 100 worlds. At the center stood Admiral Lee, the Earth representative. Lee was a small, older man with gray hair and calm eyes. He didn't look worried even though most of the council members were shouting at him. "Order. We will have order," called the council leader, a tall, blue-skinned alien. When the room finally quieted, he pointed at Lee. "The humans have broken our most basic rules. They took action without permission. They interfered with a situation that was under council review." Admiral Lee waited until the leader finished. Then he spoke in a quiet voice that somehow carried to every corner of the room. "Yes, we acted without your permission, because waiting meant death for 17,000 beings." Lee looked around the room. "We understand your rules and procedures. We respect them, but not when they cost innocent lives." The council leader's face darkened. "Rules exist for reasons, Admiral. Without them, there is chaos." Before Lee could answer, another voice spoke up. Everyone turned to see who had dared interrupt. It was a Vaxiri. The insect-like alien stood tall, its shiny shell gleaming under the lights. This was Ambassador Click, once the administrator of the now-destroyed colony. "I wish to speak," Click said, mandibles clicking. "My people have just been granted emergency membership in this council. We have the right to be heard." The leader couldn't refuse. "Speak then, Ambassador." Click moved to stand beside Lee. "My people, all 17,000 of us, owe our lives to the humans. While this council discussed our fate and decided we were not important enough for immediate help, the crew of the Dauntless came without hesitation." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Click raised all 4 of his arms for silence. "I have evidence to present." He activated a data crystal. A recording played, showing the council's initial response to the Vaxiri distress call. Colony population below 50,000. Remote location. Limited strategic value. Classify as non-urgent. Schedule for discussion at next regular session. Many council members looked away in shame. The recording ended, and Click continued. "This council decided my people were too few and too far away to be worth saving quickly. The humans decided differently. They decided every life matters." The council leader shifted uncomfortably. "The needs of the many must sometimes outweigh." "No," Click interrupted. "That is the difference. You weigh lives. Humans refuse to do so." Admiral Lee remained silent, letting the Vaxiri speak. Click turned slowly, letting every council member see him. "Your people call humans the Angry Ones. You say this as if it were bad. But we have learned that what looks like anger is often compassion that refuses to be limited by convenience. Their emotions do not cloud their judgment. They make it clearer." After the council session ended, the official decision was announced. The Dauntless crew would receive formal reprimands for violating council protocols. Commander Hannah Kim would be required to complete additional training on interspecies diplomatic procedures. But something else happened too. 7 council species immediately formed a new rapid response initiative based on the human model. They pledged ships and crews that would answer distress calls without waiting for council approval. 3 months later, Hannah stood on a hilltop overlooking a new settlement on an Earth Alliance colony world. Below, human and Vaxuri children played together in a field. The Vaxuri had been given land here to build a new home. Minho joined her on the hill. The council sent a message. "They're dropping the reprimands from our records." Hannah smiled slightly. Public opinion too strong for them. Something like that. Minho looked down at the playing children. People across the galaxy have been asking why their governments can't respond to emergencies as quickly as one human chip did. They watched as a small Vaxuri child tried to climb a tree. A human boy showed the young alien where to place its 4 hands to climb safely. "The council still calls us the Angry Ones. You know," Minho said. Hannah nodded. "Perhaps we are angry. Angry at suffering. Angry at injustice. Angry at the idea that rules matter more than people." She smiled as the Vaxuri child waved at her from the tree with its delicate arms. And perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needed. 6 months later, when a mining station in the Orion sector sent out a distress call, 3 ships jumped to faster-than-light travel within minutes. One was human. The other 2 belonged to former council species who had decided that some things shouldn't wait for a committee vote. And on the rebuilt council chamber wall, a new motto had been carved, written in all the languages of member species. "To save one life is to save an entire world." Not everyone agreed with it, but no distress call went unanswered again. The Angry Ones had taught the galaxy that some principles matter more than politics, and that sometimes anger is just another word for love in action.